So we're going to move into section 1.2. Again, if you have a printer, print out the template from Google Classroom. If you don't have a printer, just do the notes on a separate sheet of paper because you're going to need to submit a photo of your notes at the end of class, so you get participation credit for today. And we're going to take a look at fractions and decimals. And again, I know this is going to be a review of stuff you did before, but I just need to make sure you're really, really solid with this stuff so we can move on to some more difficult topics. The first thing we're going to look at is simplifying fractions. And I'm going to start with the fraction 6/8. Well, it's a fraction, but it's not a simplified fraction. My question for you is, what can I do to simplify this fraction? Well, to simplify any sort of fraction, we need to try to divide the number on the top and the bottom by what we call a common factor. More about that in a moment. But here, what we're going to have to do is divide the top and the bottom by 2. I'm going to write that out just so it's really clear what I'm doing here. I'm going to go and divide the top by 2, and I'm going to go and divide the bottom by 2. Well, what's 6 divided by 2? It's 3. What's 4 divided by 2? It's 4. 6/8, that fraction gets simplified into 3/4. These two fractions mean the same thing, but 3/4 is the better fraction because it uses smaller numbers. By the way, we should probably talk about why they mean the same thing. 6/8, let's say I take a pizza and divide it into 8 sections. Six-eighths would be I'm eating this slice of pizza, and this slice, and this slice, and this slice, and this one, and this one. I'm pretty hungry. I ate a lot of the pizza. That's 6/8. Well, if I try to do the same thing with 3/4, let me draw a pizza, and this time I'm going to divide it into 4, like this, and like this. 3/4, I'm going to go eat 3 of those 4 slices. I'm going to go eat this slice, and this slice, and this slice. Those slices are bigger. However, even though those slices are bigger, one slice over here kind of matches up with 2 slices over here, and I think when you're done, you can look at the 2 pizzas and realize even though I ate 6 slices here and 3 slices here, I ate the same amount in both pizzas. 6/8 and 3/4 are the same thing, but 3/4 is just what we call the simplified version. Here's how we do this, and I already said this, but I would like you to write down these directions. To simplify a fraction, to simplify a fraction, we are going to divide the numerator and the denominator by what we call a common factor. Divide the numerator and denominator by a common factor. To simplify a fraction, divide the numerator and denominator by a common factor. If you need to pause the video to finish copying, keep copying. But I'm going to write one more line here. I'm going to then say continue until no common factors are left. All that means is after we do our divide by 2, we're going to look at the fraction we get and see, can I do the same thing again? Can I keep dividing the top and bottom by some number? If I can, I will. If not, I won't. Let me show you 4 examples. Let's take a look at the fraction 5 divided by 10. And I want to simplify this fraction. Do you have an idea what I can divide the top and the bottom by? I think 5 and 10, you can divide both of those numbers by 5. I mean, I guess I could divide by other numbers, but if I divide by other numbers, I'm going to get decimals, and I never want decimals in fractions. So really, when I come up with what I'm dividing by, I want to make sure that whatever I'm dividing by gives me whole numbers in my answers, no decimals here. Well, 5 divided by 5 is what? 1. 10 divided by 5 is what? 2. And our simplified fraction is 1/2. If I made a pizza with 10 slices and ate 5 of them, it would be the same as if I made that same pizza have only 2 slices and I ate 1 of those. Let's take a look at 14 over 16. What can I divide both of those numbers by? Well, one trick that I see in number 2 is 14 and 16, they're both even numbers. Anytime I have numbers that are even, I can divide those by 2. So that's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to divide by 2. I'm going to divide by 2. 14 divided by 2, that's going to give me 7. And 16 divided by 2, that's going to give me 8. Is there anything we can divide 7 and 8 by? No, we're done. 7 over 8, that's the final answer. Let's take a look in number 3 at 16 over 20. What can you divide 16 and 20 by? Well, if you said 2, you're absolutely right. If you said something else, you might be right as well. Hold on to that for a moment. But what I'm going to do is I see that they're even numbers. I'm going to go divide the top and the bottom by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. And 20 divided by 2 gives me 10. Now what? I'm not done. 8 and 10, they're both even numbers, which means I can still do a little bit of dividing. I'm going to go and I'm going to divide the top and bottom by 2. When we do that, what do we get for our final fraction? And you can just type this in using the slash as the division symbol. We should be getting 4 over 5. And there's nothing I can divide both 4 and 5 by, so that has to be my final answer. Now, there is another way we could have done this problem. When I asked you to start this one off, what did you divide by? If you said, instead of divide by 2, if you said divide by 4, that's absolutely going to work. And look what happens here. If I divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4, well, 16 divided by 4 gives me 4. 20 divided by 4 gives me 5. What do you know? Same answer. The difference is if you divide by 4, it only takes you 1 step. If you divide by 2, it takes you 2 steps. But I think the advantage to dividing by 2 is it's a little easier to come up with divide by 2 than come up with divide by 4. I do not care how you do this. If it takes you 2 steps, divide by 2, or if you do it in 1 step, just divide by 4, either way will get you to that same final answer of 4/5. Okay, one more. 21 over 27. What can you divide both of those numbers by? Well, they're not even numbers, so I can't divide by 2. If you're not sure about that and you try dividing by 2 on the calculator, 21 divided by 2, yeah, that's a decimal. That's not okay. So then let's just sort of work our way through some other numbers. If you can't divide by 2, let's try to divide by 3. And actually, divide by 3 is going to do it. I want you to take a moment to go divide the top by 3, the bottom by 3, and give me an answer. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 27 divided by 3 is 9. I'll then go and look at that 7 and 9. They do not have anything in common. I can't divide them by anything. I guess I could divide the 9 by a 3, but I couldn't also divide the 7 by a 3. So this is the best I can do. That is my final simplified fraction.